And so I will start with VB content. That's visual vernacular. I try to come up with creative ways and creative pieces of work. And so it seems that I'm more accomplishing that more and more. I would like to move forward in tonight's program to introduce our special guest, Christopher Smith. This is his name sign. And so I'd like to share his video. Hello. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm doing fine. I'm surviving. Your performance was just wow, really fabulous.
No, I want to see if you want to try. No,
I wanted to see if you wanted to try and work on visual vernacular together.
sorry, something.
I'm sorry, something popped up.
No,
Okay, and technology. Okay, so
something.
Christopher and I will try something with the hand shape 5 with visual vernacular. What will we do with the number 5 or the hand shape 5?
Are you asking me what I should do with the hand shape 5? Okay.
Yes. So
idea.
Another idea is that I could do like the diaphragm expanding and expanding and expanding and the belly.
Okay, something inflating, something crawling. Okay, like.
Have you any experience with visual vernacular?
Is that what Bernard Bragg invented?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Bragg.
Oh, yes, that was a long time ago. I'd nearly forgotten how to do it. Guess it's been a while. But I am a little bit familiar with the visual vernacular style.
Okay, well, that's fine. So I'll give you a little break on that. But I wanted to have an interview with you and talk about your life. And this month is Black History Month. And so we picked you. And I especially picked you because you've been an idol of mine since I was a young boy. And I enjoyed watching your performances and a Black deaf actor and dancer. And I was always amazed and excited to watch you. And so we're excited to have you back this year. And I have so many questions to ask you. But I wanted to show your video clip before we get into the dialogue and discussion. Is that okay?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Sure thing. We can do that.
Okay. I'll stop my video.
I was so drawn in by her beauty. You may wonder why I dressed like this, if it's drag or something, but it's not that. I was searching for role models. And I finally found Lena and a connection there, an understanding and the freedom of her. I'll give you a little bit of the history of Lena. In the 1930s and 40s, she fought with all the white actors to get into white cinema, to get them to accept her. There's something else. She was proud. And pride isn't something that should be shameful. We shouldn't be ashamed of the idea of the feminine. And I wish that I were the same as my father and my brothers. This concept of feminine being disgusting, like ew. My dad and my brothers, I didn't want to be picked on. I didn't want to have to follow that tough guy attitude, be a man attitude of my dad and my brothers. I had to suppress my feminine side. It was in there. I had to cover it up with this machismo. Dad and my brother, Tim, I begged my brother Tim. I begged him to please let me go. Just to let me go. And I felt like, go ahead. I felt like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz going home at last.
Wow. Wow. That was incredibly powerful. That is really, really powerful. Amazing. And it's very emotional to watch sometimes. I've watched it over and over, time and time again, and it's still really impactful.
Oh, thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, what is your how do I say, what is your what has been your profession over the years?
Well, for a while now, I have been a musical theater artist. And I have been in musical theater since I guess I had started in high school in those years when I was 17 or 18 years old. But you have to know that during my time in high school, I was participating in all black deaf drama performers group that was in Chicago. It was called the Sixth Sense of Performers. That was our performance group, and that was in the early days. We're talking early 1980s. So I was in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, where there's a very strong black community. And that group together developed dramatic acts with a director who was Black and hearing himself, but worked with an interpreter and worked with the group there on the south side of Chicago. Yeah, she had seen a lot of children and she'd seen a lot of teenagers who could find a path through theater and that would help keep them out of trouble, so to speak, out of other types of things that they might be engaged in as children in the south side of Chicago. So then I continued. That sparked my passion for theater, and then I continued from there on until I joined the NTD, National Theater for the Deaf. And they had a 4-week summer program there where I was under Phyllis Friedrich, rather, and Bernard Bragg and Patrick Graybill, who are really well-known people in the National Deaf Theater troupe. So I was exposed to their style of performance and their theatricality. And I was just 18 years old when I first had that exposure.
What year was that?
So that was 1973. Oh, sorry, 1983.
Oh, 83.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I entered in 1994. I entered in 1994, so about 9 years later. And you were my first Black deaf actor and dancer and performer that I had an opportunity to see. And I was involved with a lot of the National Theater of the Deaf's performing arts. Do you remember the dance we did for Cinderella?
Yes. Yeah, it was choreographed by Michelle Thawes. The interpreter's not sure and count that.
Yeah, right. Amazing deaf artist. I do remember that. And so that experience during the time of National Theater of the Deaf compared to high school is very different now. So what was that experience like? Briefly, if you could tell us.
Well, in the early days, in my time, before I was even exposed to NTD, however, there were so little opportunities. I had so little exposure and limited exposure to that. It was just what I had done there on the south side of Chicago. Just short little skits or scenes that had to do with Black culture and Black deaf culture. It wasn't much. And I stayed there just for a short time. And then when I went to Gallaudet, that's where I really was able to expand my knowledge and gain more exposure to the theater arts and so on. And I joined the Gallaudet Dance Company at that time as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, you were going to say something. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. Well, my next question related to being a Black deaf actor is nowadays compared to in the past, what do you see that's different? What do you see that are similarities from your time where you began until today? Black deaf access to theater, deaf actors in general. We're not seeing many of them as we did in the past, perhaps, maybe more now.
Yeah, back then there were so few. The two most important people in my life passed away a long time ago now. And I would like to honor their names. And they're two people who I really look up to. First was Black and deaf gay man, Kelvin Coleman. And he was in the same group, the Sixth Sense Performers on the south side of Chicago. And he was the first person I looked up to. He was a bit older than me, and I looked up to him very much. He had this strong studying background in mime. And unfortunately, his life was cut short. Because he got killed when he was only 22 years old. Right, I was 17, so he was older than me, but he was only 22 when he was killed. So that was Kelvin Coleman. And the other guy was a strong dancer from Gallaudet. That was Cagney Perkins. And he was another strong role model for me, someone that I truly looked up to and was inspired by. Those two gentlemen, Kelvin, and that's his sign name, K and C on the back of the other hand. You know, he was the inspiration for theater for me, someone I looked up to. And then Cagney was a really strong dancer that I looked up to. Those are two of the most important role models in my life, the two most important. Kelvin was killed, unfortunately, at a young age, and Cagney died fairly young of AIDS as well. And there were people that I really looked up to, and then they were gone, and I had no one to look up to after that point. I was just fortunate to have been exposed to them at that early time.
So now I'm seeing more and more Black deaf actors surface here and there. And that's really good. And I'm hoping to see more and more of them in the future. For example, Mervyn Primo and Jade, who was a film director, and who else?
Michelle Banks.
Yes.
And Alexandria Wales.
Yes. And Wawa.
Mm-hmm. There are so many more coming in on the scene right now. Absolutely.
So many, and so many other actors who haven't yet been recognized for their work yet. And I'd like to see more and more of them recognized and brought to our deaf theater, not just Black deaf theater, but deaf theater as a whole. So it would be great to see more and more of that. Visual vernacular actors who are also Black. I'd love to see more of that demographic as well. And for those people in the audience who don't know what VV is, the expansion on that is visual vernacular. And that's the sign. Most people will initialize it and just say VV, but I'm hoping to see more and more of that. I know that Justin Perez is one of them that I know, who is BIPOC.
Again, I missed that name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Justin. His last name is Perez.
Oh, that's vaguely familiar now. Okay, yes.
Oh, yes. I often watch him and see others, but I would like to see more Black and Latino actors in the visual vernacular, including myself. And so I'm trying my best. And so, okay, so look, my next question I have for you is, what do I have here? Okay, so your one-man show recently that we just saw a clip of. Can you tell us more about that and what was the inspiration for that one-man show?
Sure. You know, it's funny. That one-man show is called Lena and Me. And it comes from a book which was written by Raymond Luzick. And he told me that he wanted to do a story about my journey as a Black, deaf, queer individual. So I wrote that article to work with him. And we put together Lena and Me. So let's talk about first who Lena Hone is. She's an old-time movie star from the 1930s and 40s. Say that again. And Lena Horne, rather, that was the interpreter's error. Mm-hmm. So she was this famous Black actress from the 30s and 40s. So the article was published and it went into this book. And it was titled Lena and Me. So when I was 7 years old, just 7 years old, I was watching this old film, and there were no captions at that time when I was a kid on my TV. And the name of that movie was Stormy Weather. And when that came on, I was just transfixed. I was just stunned. Lena Horne's performance was it just emanated from the screen. My whole family was asleep except for me. It was a late night movie, so it was just me alone watching it. And the movie ended and the credits rolled, and I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror. I opened up the medicine cabinet and I took my mom's earrings and I put them on my ears, and I grabbed my mom's lipstick and I put it on my lips. And I just used my imagination to transform myself in my mind to Lena Horne in her performance. Lena gave me self-esteem as a Black, deaf, queer boy who was just 7 years old at that time, okay?
Wow, that's very young.
Yeah, just 7. And the show is established from that. You know, Lena was, when I was drawn into her beauty, and I just followed her journey, and it just inspired me and impressed me to get into theater. I got into theater because of her in the first place.
Wow, that's very impressive. I can definitely see where that inspiration came from while you were so young. I also had an inspirational moment when I was younger. Uh, I wanted to become a news anchor. And I
Oh,
remember that my cousin and my parents were like, we're not really sure if you can do that. We think you have to be hearing, you have to talk, you have to have a loud voice and a ton of personality. And I said, well, I'll try that. But it never happened. And so I found another avenue uh, with that same passion. And so with ASL Slam, I thank Julia and Doug Ridloff. I should not have even bothered to spell the last name. I am so bad at murdering last names. But anyhow, this has given me an opportunity and a taste of what it's like to be on the big screen and be visual where people can see me, and it's been a really good experience. Okay, so before we bring this kind of interview and dialogue to a close, I'd like to ask what advice you have for Black deaf actors, and not just Black deaf, but all deaf actors today. What is your advice?
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to show the real you, who you are inside, to express it with passion. That passion that you have, use it and get it out. That would be my advice. That's not enough, but it's my understanding is that you just really have to be true to who you are. You have to not be afraid to show who you truly are as a person.
And that's a message I keep telling myself. Yes, I do believe that that is a absolutely true statement. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to express yourself. Just go for it. Whether you write it, whether you um, keep it going, whatever you are passionate about. There's so many skilled deaf actors nowadays, and like you said, just go with how you're feeling on the inside and let it out, no matter how easy or hard it is. Just go for it. And so look, Christopher, Thank you so much for making an appearance tonight at ASL Slam.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You've been fabulous.
Yes, this has been truly wonderful. But now I would like for you to help me introduce our one last special guest and would like to perform. She's been begging and begging and begging to perform, and we'd love to give her the opportunity to perform tonight. Her name is Emerald. This is her name sign, and she is Deaf Plus. And so she'd like to introduce herself as Deaf Plus. And so I am thrilled to have her here and come on the screen tonight. Thank you so much. I believe that we've run into a slight technical issue. Oh, actually, let's see. Hello, 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 everyone. This song is entitled My Favorite Part. It may make you cry, and feel free to just enjoy this in your own space. Thank you very much. Bye.
So that song is by who?
Come closer so Nayla from a women's group. It's a song. It's a song from that group.
Oh, that's very nice. That's wonderful. Wonderful work.
Yeah, that's why I picked this matching outfit to match the group.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Great. Beautiful dress. I loved it.
Why, thank you.
Thank you so much for showing up and showing your talent with us today.
You are absolutely welcome. And I would love to make an appearance again March 1st. I've got to do this again.
You will have your opportunity from time to time at any slam you like. All right.
Yes, I will. Bye.
There you have it. We have Christopher and
we have Christopher and Emerald, who both performed today and showed you who they are on our virtual stage. I hope you enjoyed this ASL Slam. And now we will wrap it up and close it out. But before we close it out, would like to tell you that Visual Vernacular Underground will soon be performing live on Facebook. So take a look there at their channel, Visual Vernacular Underground, the VV Underground. They have some amazing and talented performers who perform in the visual vernacular modality, and they're just fantastic. So take your eyes over there, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye, everyone.